Today I'm going to be showing you everything you need to know to start trading like a pro on TradingView. If you've ever struggled with setting up your chart, adding indicators, organizing your watch list or drawing, don't worry, I've got you covered. In this tutorial, I'll walk you through everything you need to know step by step so you can trade with confidence. Hi, my name is Janet and this is 𝗟𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Before we dive in, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button so you can be notified every time I drop a new video. Before we get started, let's talk about TradingView's different membership options. If you click the TradingView link in the description below, you should land directly on the home page, which looks like this. By coming up to products and scrolling into pricing, you'll be able to see the different memberships they offer. The free version is great for beginners, but it has limitations like fewer indicators and ads. If you want more features like multiple charts, custom timeframes, and extra alerts, you might want to consider upgrading to an Essential, Plus, or Premium plan. However, if you wait for the Black Friday sales, they offer 60 to 70% off their subscription plan. On the TradingView homepage, this just gives us an overview of the market. It also gives us a market summary of the assets that are available for you to chart, analyze, or evaluate. By hovering over products, it brings up a bunch of different options. One that is really useful for traders is calendars. If we click on economic, this brings up any news events that may affect our trade. By scrolling down, there is a how to use the economic calendar and frequently asked questions. So if you're just starting out, that'd be really handy to go through. By hovering over community, you'll see there's trading ideas, indicators and strategy, and the leap. I'm not going to go through any of these. We want to focus on how to set up our TradingView. I'm just giving you a brief overview at the moment. Markets, this shows us what assets are available for us to chart, evaluate, possibly trade directly from the exchange, should there be a broker connected. We hover over more and come down to downloads. You can actually download the mobile app and desktop app. So now I'm going to come back to products and click on super chart. Now that we are on the main trading screen, I'm going to walk you through everything from left to right, right to left. In the top left hand corner, you have your profile. If we scroll down to where it says dark theme here, we can change whether we want a dark themed chart or a light themed. Now if your life just flashed before your eyes, I'm sorry. Let's change this back to the dark theme. From this point, you can also download the desktop app as well. Beside the profile picture, we have symbol search, and this is where we can search for the asset we are wanting to trade, whether it be a stock, funds, futures, forex, crypto, indices, bonds, economy, or option. You can search your pair simply by typing it into the search bar. So I am looking for the perpetual chart for Bitcoin USDT. So I type in BTC USDT.P, and this brings up the list of perpetual contracts and the exchanges it is listed on. You can see beside some of these tickers that there is a purple flag there. What this does is simply adds them to that flag color's watch list, and I'll explain that a little bit further on. Besides symbol search, we have the plus icon, which is compare or add symbol. So currently I am on the BTC USDT perpetual chart. By clicking on the plus symbol, I can then go through and compare it against another chart. So let's say we want to compare Bitcoin against the Dixie. I would select the Dixie and new price scale, and that's going to add it to my chart. By using this, it allows us to see whether the assets are correlated and move together or whether they move in opposite directions. If we want to delete that, you can simply come back to the plus sign and click it, and it will take it off your chart. Following on, we have different time frames. If we click the drop down arrow, it allows us to select which time frames we want to trade. By clicking the stars beside the time frame, it adds them to the favorites tab at the top here. Currently, I am on the 15-minute time frame. So what this means is every candle that you see here is 15 minutes worth of price action. If it is a green candle, this is showing us that this candle closed higher than it opened. Our candles are made up of bodies and wicks. The bottom of the body for a bullish candle shows us the opening price, the top of the body shows us the closing price, and the wick to the upside shows us the high, and the bottom wick shows us the low. This just shows us where price has been. If it is a bearish candle or a red candle, then this is telling us that price closed lower than it opened, with the top of that body being the open price, the bottom of the body being the closed price, the top of the wick being the high, the bottom of the wick being the low. If I change the time frame, then each one of these candles is going to represent the amount of price action by the time frame you have selected at the top here. Next we have candles, and this gives us the option to display how we want to see price action. I am currently on candle, but if I want to see that as a line chart, I can click on that and price will be displayed as a line chart. This chart makes it easier to spot trends. Or you may want to go with volume candles, and this will change the size of your candles depending on how large the volume is. Next we have indicators and alerts, and I will go into more detail about this later. The replay function, and this is really good as it allows you to go back in time to test out your strategies, practice trade execution. You can use it to improve your patience and discipline, to train yourself into waiting for the right setup instead of rushing into trades. If you come to the bottom of the screen, you'll see a drop down arrow. This allows you to select a bar or input a date. So if you want to go back to the last Bitcoin halving, say, then you could input that date here and the replay function will take you back to that date. And then there is the option for a random bar. By selecting a random bar, it takes you to a random spot. Beside that, we have the play function, and this is just going to make the candles appear a lot faster so we don't have to wait one whole hour for one candle to present. Next we have the forward button, and this is just going to take us forward one candle at a time. We can change the replay speed. If I don't want the replay speed to be so fast, then I would go through and select a lower speed. And the last button here is the jump to real time charts. It's going to bring me back to current price action. Next we have the undo button. And what this does is undo the last thing you did. So if I click on that, it will put back the line that I previously deleted. Moving across the screen, we now have our layout set up. This allows me to have multiple charts laid out beside each other, and the patterns you see here will determine how that layout is displayed. If you are using the free version of TradingView, I believe you can only use the basic layout, which is the one we are currently on. The further up in paid tiers you go will determine how many charts you can display in your layout. So I'm just going to click on 2, and you can see now I have a chart side by side. Currently this is showing me the same chart, so both of them are BTC USDT perpetual on the 1 hour time frame. If I wanted to keep this chart on the 1 hour time frame and change this one to the 15-minute, I simply just click the chart and change the time frame. And now this is going to show me a 15-minute chart compared to this one being the 1 hour chart. If I wanted to change this chart so it was displaying a different asset, I just make sure that I have selected that chart, come up to symbol, type in the asset I am wanting to put in there, select it, and that will change the asset to Solana. We can change the information shown here so that it displays the symbol title. It's going to show me the ticker and the exchange, so I can quickly reference that this chart is showing me Bitcoin and this one is showing me Solana. If we come back to the layout setup at the top, down the bottom there is sync in layout. Here we have symbol. If I select that, it's going to change my other chart so that it is the same as the one I am currently on. If I select interval, change the interval of the other chart to be the same of the one that we are currently on. If I select crosshair, this means the vertical and horizontal line where my mouse is going to sync across to the other layout. If I select time, this means if I change the interval I am on, it's going to change both charts or all charts to be on that same interval. If you need an exchange to trade on, consider checking out Bitunix. It is no KYC, no VPN, so you should be able to get access to this one worldwide. Trading fees really do add up over time, and as your account grows, you need to be looking for ways to minimize the fees you pay on trade. To create your very own account, use the link in the description below TradingView, so you can take advantage of that 20% trading fee rebate for life on all of your trades. Next, we have the quick search function, and this just helps us to quickly search for a particular tool. So if I want to look for a horizontal line, then I can just type that in and it will pop up here. We have settings, and this just allows me to change how the chart and information is displayed to me. So I'm going to change the colors of my candles. For the bullish candles, I'm happy with the green color. I don't want a border, and the wicks, I'm happy for them to be green. For the bearish candles, I'm going to change these so that they are white. Next, we have the status line, and this is the information showing up here. So if I click on these, you'll see more information starts to pop up at the top here. We have scales and lines, and these are the lines and numbers down the sides of our chart. Currently my scales are stacked on the right hand side. I can change that to stack them on the left hand side. We can also choose to have no overlapping labels. So what this means is if I have a whole bunch of lines and they are all around the same price level, then the labels won't clash together. Instead, it will stack them on top of each other. Whereas if I unselect that, see how the numbers aren't displayed clearly here? That's what that is. And then some other settings in here. We have canvas, and this is our main chart. So currently my background is black. I want to change that color to the classic TTC chart. So by clicking on this black square here, I can change the color of my chart. You can change whether you want that to be a gradient chart or solid. I prefer mine solid. It just makes it easier for me to see without any distractions. But if I was to choose gradient, I can choose a different color, and now it's going to give me that gradient effect. The grid lines, we can change the vertical and horizontal lines to different colors as well. And we can also change the opacity of those grid lines. Next, we have the crosshair. Where my mouse is, you can see a vertical and horizontal line. Whatever color you want, you can change that here. You can also change the thickness of your line and the style, whether you want a solid line, a dashed line, or a dotted line. From here, you can also display whether you want the watermark of the current trading pair you are on to display. The scales is what is displayed down the right hand side and at the bottom of my screen. You can change the text color, the size. For the lines, you can change the color of this and the opacities. This is looking more TTC by the minute, which is great. Next, we have alert. We can change the color of our alert line. We can choose whether we only want active alerts to display, the volume of our alerts, and whether we automatically want to hide toast or not. And then we have events. You can choose whether you want to have these selected or not. If I click on latest news, a little thunderbolt in a purple circle pops up down the bottom. And if you click on that, it's going to bring up the latest updates and news. And down the bottom of our settings tab, we have template, and I will go into detail more about this later. Now you can see that all of the changes we have made, we done it to the chart on the right hand side. If I click apply to all, it's going to apply what we just changed on this chart to the one on the left as well. Next, we have the camera icon, and this allows us to take a snapshot of our chart and share it. We can do that via different methods, whether we download the image, copy the image, or copy the link. Down the right hand side, we have watch lists, and this is where you can organize your assets into watch lists. To add assets into your watch list, you simply click the plus button. You can either search it by typing it in or scrolling the list. Click the plus button, and this adds that asset into our watch list here. If I wanted to add in some stocks like Tesla or Nvidia, I can hit the plus sign. This will add them to my watch list. Now, if I right click in here, it brings up this menu where I can add a section, and then I can go ahead and rename this. And now it separates my crypto assets from my stock assets. Currently, these assets have a blue flag beside them, and this has added them to my current day opportunities watch list. From here, I can edit my watch list. I can add alerts on my list, make a copy of my watch list, rename it, add a section, which we've already done. I can clear my list so it just wipes the whole lot. I can create a new list. So let's just go ahead and create a new list. And now that has created a blank watch list, and we can go ahead and add assets in simply by clicking that plus button. From this drop down, you can also open all of the watch list you have created. Next, we have the ability to set and create alerts. There are many different ways you can set alerts. The way I like to set alerts is by grabbing a horizontal line or ray and then setting an alert on that ray simply by right clicking on it and add alert on horizontal ray. It'll then bring up this window where I can go through and edit how I want this alert to trigger. Where it says message, I can type what the message is that will be sent to me once my alert goes off. So if I have the TradingView app on my phone, it'll send me a notification. Show toast notification. So this is where a notification will pop up in the bottom left hand corner. Also have the option for TradingView to send that alert via an email and the option to play a sound, and you can edit what sound it plays. And now I simply click create. You can see now we have a little clock on this horizontal ray. You can see that alert has popped up down the bottom left hand corner. I also received an email and a notification on my phone. Now, although that alert has been triggered, if I simply move it up, it reactivates that alert. So this is the way I like to set it, because then I just have two alerts on my chart. One of them will be an up alert, so SOL up, and the other one will be a down alert. Simply right click, add alert, and you can name it whatever you want to. The other way to set an alert is simply by right clicking at the price range you want your alert to set, scroll down to add alert, repeat the process in here, hit create, and now we can see that alert has been set. Below the alerts clock, we have object tree and data window. This has to be my favorite thing about TradingView, and it took me a long time to get around to using it, figuring it out, but once I seen how simple and easy it was, mate, life changing. So if we click on that, it's going to bring up any drawings or indicators we have on our chart. So currently you can see we have this on my chart. If I click the little eye, it'll hide it. I can also delete anything I put on my chart from the object tree. So if I don't want this volume ticks down the bottom, I can hit the little rubbish bin and that will delete it from my chart. So sometimes when it comes to doing your technical analysis, you'll have drawings on your 15-minute chart or 5-minute chart, but you don't want them to show on the daily time frame. What's really good about object tree is the ability to lock your drawings to one time frame and the ability to put them into folders so all of it stays nicely organized. If I come into my object tree, right click and scroll down, you can see there's an option to create a group of drawings. If I click that, it's going to put my horizontal ray into this folder. I can then grab the trend line and drag it into that folder. And now I have the ability to hide whatever is in this folder simply by clicking the little eye. I can also rename this folder by right clicking, hit rename, and I can change that to 1 hour technical analysis. Now let's say I've gone through and added some more drawings to my chart and I want to add these into this folder. A quick way to do it is click on rectangle or the circle, hold down shift. I can then go through and select the other drawings and then drag and drop all of these into the 1 hour technical analysis folder. And now that simply organizes my object tree. I also have the ability to either hide all of those drawings. From here, I can also lock my drawings. What that means is I can't come through and accidentally move any of these drawings. They stay where they are. And then we have the little rubbish bin. This would delete or remove all of the drawings that are in this folder from my chart. If for some reason I didn't want these circles to show on any other time frame but the 1 hour time frame, I can right click on them, scroll down to visibility on interval, current interval only. What this does is lock that drawing to this specific time frame. So if I go down to the 15-minute, you'll see that circle is no longer there, but the rest of the drawings are. Same with the horizontal ray. I don't want this to show on the daily time frame, so current interval and below. So once I come out to the daily, away, we can see that triangle is no longer there. Currently, the drawings I have put on the right chart aren't showing on the left chart. If I open the object tree back up and right click on our 1 hour technical analysis folder, by clicking on sync in layout, it's going to put all of those drawings onto the left hand side chart. If I hide this folder, it's going to hide it on both charts, and if I remove the folder, it will remove the drawings from both charts as well. You can do a lot of things in object tree, but those are the main ones that I use on a daily basis. Next, we have the chat section, and this is where you can come in and chat with other traders, post charts. You can see there is a comment section here. You can also come down into the talk section and scroll through which discussion interests you. Further down on the right hand side, we have screeners, and this just gives you the ability to filter your assets further. We have calendars. It's going to show me all of the news events around the world that could affect my trade for today. I can also select the date by clicking on calendar and choosing that here. If you head up to the right hand corner where it says calendar settings, if I want to filter the news events that are shown to me, I can do so by country. So I'm going to select USA, United Kingdom, China, and Japan. And this is going to show me all of the news events for those countries and disregard all of the others. Below that, we have community feed, and this is where other traders post their technical analysis. It is also where you can post your technical analysis by coming to my post and creating an idea here. Below that, we have the notifications bell, and in the very bottom right hand corner, we have a chat assistant. So if you have any questions, you feel lost, you need help finding anything, then you can click that button, type your question in here, and a bot will get back to you. Now I'm going to show you how to add indicators to your chart, take them away, organize them, and show you which ones you can grab that we use in TTC for free. Simply come up to the top where it says indicators and start scrolling through the different indicators available, or you can search it by typing it in at the top. If you find an indicator that you really like, you can hit the star button and this will add it to your favorites list. The first indicator I'm going to add to my chart is Open Interest Auto Override by 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃, and that indicator you can see has popped up down the bottom of my screen. The next indicator I'm going to add is the 4 EMA, and you can see it has added those EMAs to my chart. The next indicator is PVSRA Candles Auto Override by 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃, and this is going to bring up the volume bar down the bottom and color my candles according to the volume that is shown at the bottom of my screen. And then I'm going to add Market Session Times by 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃. If I wanted to edit any of these indicators, I simply come up to the top left hand corner, settings. If I wanted to edit the market session time settings, click settings from there, and I can change any of those settings here. Same with the open interest and PVSRA. If you want to quickly hide these indicators down the bottom, double click your screen and it will hide them. Double click and it will bring them back. Now, if I wanted to delete any of these indicators, I can come back to the top left corner, hover over the indicator, scroll across until I see the bin, and then remove it. I can also right click directly on the indicator, scroll down to remove, and that will delete it. Or I can do it from my object trees. TradingView has a ton of built-in tools that help traders to mark up their charts, and you can find them on the left-hand side of TradingView. The ones that I use the most are saved in my favorites toolbar. The first one that I have saved is the horizontal line, and this is really good if you want to mark out support and resistance areas. The next one that I have is a rectangle, and this is one that I would use to mark out areas of interest. I can also click the settings of this rectangle, come into text, and I can label that. I can change the color of the text, decide whether it is bold or leaning. I can choose to have the text inside the box, on top or on the bottom, whether it is centered within the rectangle, to the left of the rectangle, or to the right. I can also come into style, change the color of the border, choose whether I want to have a middle line or not. I can choose whether to have a background on that rectangle, and I can also change the color. Now, if you've perfected how you want your rectangle to look and you think you are going to use a lot, you can go ahead and save this as a template by either right clicking on the rectangle, come over to template and save as, or you can double click to bring the settings back up, come down to template, save as, and type in what you want to save that rectangle as. Now every time I go to draw a rectangle, I can simply right click on the rectangle, head to template and look for the area of interest that I had saved, and that will bring it up on my chart. The next one I have on here is the long position, and this is simply so I don't have to come down into the toolbars on the left and find it. I've just added it to my favorite by clicking the star, and the same goes for any of these tools down the left hand side. They all have a star beside them. If you click them, it will add it to your favorites toolbar, and if I no longer want that in my favorites toolbar, I just unselect the star and that will take it off. Next, I have the Fibonacci tool. The Fibonacci tool is based on a mathematical sequence discovered by Leonardo Fibonacci in the 13th century. It can be found everywhere, from nature to art and architecture, music, and in trading. Traders use Fibonacci to predict where price might pull back before continuing in the original trend, helping them to find potential entry and exit points. For example, if I take my Fibonacci tool and mark it from this pivot low to this current high, then I am going to get these levels below price. The main areas that traders look for retracement before continuation are the 38.2, the 50%, and the golden pocket, which is the 65 or 61.8% fib level. So you wouldn't use the Fibonacci tool by itself. You would look to see if it has confluence with other areas. So currently I have this support level drawn. I can see it lines up with the golden pocket. So that would be my main area of interest. I can also see we have a vector candle that lines up with the 38.2. If price holds there, then I may consider a long position. You can see how price came back to that golden pocket support area before taking off. The next tool I have is a trend line. This just helps to mark out any trends or patterns that I may see. You can also change the settings on this by either double clicking and then coming into text. You can add text, change the color, the size, change the color of the line by coming into style. You can change it to be a dashed line or a dotted line. You can change the thickness, the opacity, and the color. You can also save that as a template. The next tool I have is the paintbrush. This just allows me to quickly mark up my chart. The next tool I have is the path tool, and this is good for showing directional move where you think price may go to. The next one is the text box. So this is simply so I can write in it. Again, if you want to change any of the settings, you can simply right click, head to settings, or double click on it. I can also save that as a template. The next tool I have is a horizontal ray, and this is really good if you want to draw a quick trend line. So it's going to extend the line. So I simply click point 1, draw it to point 2, and now it's going to extend it. The next drawing I have is an ellipse. I simply click one point and wherever I want the next point to be, and then I move my mouse around and it's going to make that ellipse bigger or smaller. I use it if I'm more so marking out certain price action. The next one I have is a call out, and these are my favorites. So click the call out, click it onto your chart, then I can write whatever text I want in here. For example, if I was back testing the delta, I can write delta, and I can also save the settings, change the colors and the text, and in my case I would put it into its own group. That way I can hide it from my chart, and this just helps to keep my chart organized. Again, I want to quickly delete all of these drawings that we have just done, so I'm going to click on ray, hold shift, and then select these ones, and then hit remove. That's going to quickly delete those from my chart. The next favorite tool I have is a vertical line, and these ones I use more so for marking out news events that are coming up. The next tool I have is a circle, and I'll use this sometimes to count my levels or to mark out a key area of interest. If you click on any of these drawings, hit command and then drag the drawing, it will duplicate the drawing, and just knowing this little tip can speed up your charting process so much. If we come back into object tree, and I right click to put these circles into a folder, and I add these ones in here too. If I was to draw a completely new circle from my favorites toolbar, then it's going to add a new circle here in object tree. However, if I command and drag, which duplicates that circle, it's going to already be in this folder. It just saves time. The next tool I have is a horizontal ray, and I use these to mark out liquidity levels, and you can see I already have all of those saved as templates. The next one is an arrow, and unlike a path that only has two ends to it, you can also change the settings and save it as a template as well. The next tool I have is the fixed range volume profile. Unlike standard volume bars that show you volume over time, the FRVP shows you how much volume has been traded at different price levels within a selected range. This helps traders identify clear areas of support and resistance, areas of imbalance where price tends to move really fast through these areas. The point of control shows you the price level with the highest traded volume, so this would act as a support area now that price is above it. Now, a really quick way to delete all of these drawings on my chart, or just a selected view, if I hold down command, drag my mouse, it's going to create this blue box. Whatever I select within the box is going to select those drawings. Then I can simply hit delete, and it deletes them all at the same time. Now that you've got a solid grasp on TradingView, you're ready to navigate the platform like a pro. We've covered everything from finding your tickers and setting up time frames, to adding indicators, creating alerts, and using the replay function to refine your strategy. You also know how to organize your workspace with Watchlists, the object tree, and the favorites bar, making your charting process faster and more efficient. The more you use these tools, the more second nature they'll become. So start applying what you've learned, experiment with different setups and layouts, and refine your workflow.